Thank you again for the time to talk about our current water conditions in the state. Again, I wish I had better news. This is the water supply update. And again, my name is Jordan Clayton. I'm with the NRCS Snow Survey. I do have a little bit of good news. We do have some snow in the mountains. It's not what we want in terms of quantity, but it's a start. What's shown on the right side here are the current snow depth readings at all of our snow tell sites in the state of Utah. And they're obviously colored by depth, where the highest amounts are pushing around 20 to 25 inches. There's a lot of locations in the state that are closer to 10 to 15 inches of snow currently. Unfortunately, that's way below what we would want for this time of year. And what's shown here is a map that we typically highlight during these presentations. For the major basins in Utah, we are looking at the current percent normal in terms of our snow water equivalent, our SWE. And as you can see, we don't like to see these red and orange colors, and the state is dominated by that color scheme right now. With the exception of the Raft River and the extreme northwestern portion of the state, everything is sort of hurting right now, and we're looking for some more snow kind of urgently at this point. The severe, lower severe, and upper severe are particularly dry, as are some other areas of the state like the Beaver, Sand Pitch, and Price, San Rafael. If you combine all those together, we can see how we're doing with the current water year for the entire state, which is shown by the black line. I show these graphs every time, but just as a reminder, the black line is the current water year, which started on October 1st. And what's in the background there is the rainbow of distributions that we've seen over the last 30 years, with the green being average. And so we're definitely below average in terms of our snow water equivalent right now. We're currently statewide at about 67%. To put that in comparison, what's shown behind this year's black curve are the previous 2 years, with 2020 last year being in that kind of turquoise color, and then the olive green was 2019, which was obviously an excellent snow year. We're a little behind where we were in both of those years. Obviously, last year, we were pretty optimistic until about April or late March. And then things really tanked and haven't recovered since then. So we're again behind where we were even last year and the year before. Hopefully we turn things around in terms of our snowpack very soon. The same map can also be displayed for percent normal precipitation, and this is even more dismal. You can see most of the state is now in either orange or red when it comes to percent normal, less than 50% at most locations in terms of our major basins. I wanted to go back farther than just looking at the current water year, however. If we just look at the October 1st to present time frame, that doesn't really paint the whole picture. So I pulled some data from the National Weather Service that I'll show in just a second that really highlights this 55% of average that we're dealing with right now. As you can see, we're below average. Again, the current is shown in the black line there. Way below average. It's been very flat since around mid-November when we got those nice storms. Here we are going back in time, and now this is looking at the last 365 days. So compared to this time last December, how much precipitation have we gotten in terms of a percent normal? And just to be clear on the color scheme here, anything from 50 to 25 is shown by that dark orange color, and anything in the red is 25% or less. So we have really received dismal amount of precipitation over the last 12 months, and it's getting, frankly, kind of frightening. In terms of actual quantities of precipitation, in terms of the departure from normal, that's what's shown on this diagram. The red colors here are locations where we are 12 or more inches of precipitation below where we were last year. So that is, again, our departure from normal compared to last December. So we really need to make up a lot of precipitation. It'll be a matter of not just having a normal snowpack this winter, but a better than normal snowpack to make sure that we're back to overall average conditions. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. How is Utah doing compared to other states? I circled our two numbers in red here. Utah, in terms of snow water equivalent, is again around the mid 60s. In terms of water year to date precipitation, we're in the mid 50s, so well below where we want to be. Other conditions to report on, our temperatures have been fluctuating up and down, but generally hovering around average. the black line here again being the current year, and the green being average. So we've again been bouncing around a bit, but the temperatures have been mostly average. These again highlight our mountain locations. Reservoirs are suffering. The reservoirs are colored here by percent normal. If you see a white dot, that's where it's close to normal, and anything in the orange and again red is really poor. And you can see the severe basin in particular is hurting. Other portions of the state are well below normal as well in terms of our reservoir conditions. These are the same data, but categorized by basin. You can see last year in the green and the current water year in the blue for each one of those major basins, how they are doing. And as I've been mentioning, the lower severe is really well below normal. A lot of that has to do with the severe bridge reservoir, also known as the Yuba reservoir. Soil moisture. This is a map showing the soil moisture percent normal, and this is for our 8-inch sensor depth. And this combines both our snow-tell sites, which are up in our mountains, and also we also maintain scan sites in our valley locations. We have 34 scan sites in the state of Utah that we also maintain. And this helps to provide a complete picture of how we're doing both in the mountains and the valleys in terms of soil moisture and some other climatological variables. And I wanted to highlight this because I'm sorry I'm painting such a negative picture here, but this is an important part of the story. The fact that we have such extremely dry soils is going to reduce the efficiency of our runoff in the spring. So we're going to lose a lot of that snowmelt runoff to our watersheds before we can start filling those reservoirs. And really what that means effectively is that we're going to need to receive a well above average snowpack to get even close to an average runoff. And so again, we really need that snow to start falling urgently. This map was just released this morning. This was already bad and it got worse. The percentage of the state that's in the D4 category, which is exceptional drought, the worst category on the list, is now close to 70%. I think it was 68% as of this morning. There's really no part of the state that's doing well, but obviously 70% of the state being in an exceptional drought is not what we want to see. The NRCS Snow Survey also compiles these water availability indices each month when we publish our climate and water reports. And these combine the current stream flow with the current reservoir conditions for these major basins. Those are circled with the red circle. And what's highlighted also with the red lines are those particular basins that have particularly low WAI values. These are exceptionally low for the Blacks Fork and Eastern Uinta, but also quite low for the Beaver, Sandpitch, and Lower Severe. As I mentioned, we do publish these climate and water reports each month. We're currently working on this month's, or I should say the December 1st report, and I'm expecting it to be published later today, and I'll post it to our webpage, I should say, at that time. I also wanted to include a couple of comments about the outlook for this winter. This doesn't come from my agency, but at least we can comment on this and have some of this information for our discussion. This comes from NOAA, and this is looking at the time series of El Nino versus La Nina, the Oceanic Nino Index, otherwise referred to as ONI. And you can see we're dipping into a La Nina situation, which tends to favor northern Utah a little bit. It's really a stronger signal in the Pacific Northwest. And so we don't get as strong a signal from these ONI oscillations here in Utah, but we do tend to get a little bit of a favorable precipitation pattern for northern Utah when we get a La Nina pattern. And that's what's shown here in their predictions for the next 3 months. On the left side is precipitation, with equal chance being above or below normal for northern Utah and likely below normal for southern Utah. And then temperatures on the right side, likely above normal for the entire state. And that's where this information comes from. This is the drought outlook. This again comes out periodically. This one was published about a week and a half ago, and definitely not the color we want to see. The brown color refers to drought persists, and this is what the forecast is for the entire state of Utah. So I had to include this because this is how I feel about what's going on with our snowpack and our precipitation right now. Hopefully we can get some improvement in our snowpack. It's obviously urgently needed. And as always, please let me know if you have any questions. I'm a public servant and happy to answer questions or clarify anything from the presentation. That's my job. Thank you very much. I wish I had better news.